Hey guys, got my studs from Superformance. I only need 3, but I've ordered 10 because these are good for your covers on your sumps, so they're handy to have. I've already put one in. I'm using, these are a little bit shorter than the original ones, but I've checked them and they're going to be okay, but they're a little bit shorter than these original ones. I could not find these ones. However, I'm going to put a little bit of 243 Loctite on them and the double nut lock trick. Something I've noticed, I'll just put this in, something I've noticed when I was just checking for the length of these studs are going to be okay for when I fit the water pump to it. I did notice that the water pump wasn't going on. I really have to lock these up. The water pump wasn't going on very easily, so it was catching itself on these locating lugs here. So there might be a little bit of filing to do. This is not wanting to play. There we go. Catch both of the nuts together. Anyhow, so I'll just quickly get this in and I'll show you what I mean. So just want to seat that a little bit. So the going the right way or the wrong way? So what I'm getting at is these lugs here. As I go to fit this, just orientate it, as I go to fit this on, clips onto one, no worries, but the other one there it is. Yeah, it just doesn't want to seat properly on there. Okay, so it's either. So if I put it on that one, then it doesn't want to go on the other one. So I'm just going to do a little bit of filing, and probably just a tiny bit of filing just in here, just to allow, there's no thread there, just to allow that to get on. But so I'm going to put in the third stud down the bottom, then some gasket with gasket goo on either side, some silicone, and then I'm going to mount that on. Once I've got that on, then I'll put the pulley on, and then it's basically going to be ready for installation. I can't install it just yet because I'm still waiting on some hoses, so from this end, these 2 pipes. So when I get those, then I can finish off the installation, but this is basically putting this all together. So I'll get that stud in and I'll get the gasket sorted and I'll come back. Okay, so I found that I really cannot attach this properly on here without slightly modifying it. And what I mean by modifying it, I've decided to use the body here rather than go on the inside of here. It's much easier to do the lug. So I've chosen the one I believe was the one being stuck, but it's either. So I've got a file. The tape's there just to protect the face of the water pump housing. So just so I don't score that, because I don't really want to be putting lines in that. And I'm just very, very carefully just going over it like this. And notice the action. So when doing filing circles and so on, things like that, it's down and out, down and out. Surely you remember that from high school, yeah? Okay, so I'm not taking a lot off. I'll just do a little bit on camera. I've already taken most of what I want off. Just just being really careful. The tape's there just so if I start scoring that tape, then I'm getting a little bit close. Just got to keep making sure I've got that in shot. Now I'm going to check that. Put the two together. Other way around, right? Put the two together. Well, that's sliding on so much easier. That's made all the difference. I can really feel that. It's made a huge difference. It's feeling good around there. I think once the gasket's in there, it should be good, but that's sealing a lot better. Might give it just a little bit of a tweak more and it should be good, but that's made all the difference. Yes, that's definitely do a little bit of lighting. It's definitely going on much better now, so I put the two together and there's no resistance, so they're fitting on. Okay. It's a shame you have to manipulate certain parts, but another thing I noticed with this, I don't know if you can see that in the camera, those two, they don't line up that well, which concerns me a little bit. So maybe I need to do a little bit more adjustment on it, but they're going through okay. I think it's going to be okay. Yeah, I think it's going to be okay. I mean, this is a made in Italy, supposedly, I guess, OEM part. But yeah, you know, I think the old one had that little bit of a gap there as well. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you can see that on camera. I'll see if I can try and get that, but maybe that way I can show you better. Can you see that? You can see how that's not, you know, there's a lip there. And you can see where it shouldn't be. It's not like that one, or that one there, where it's nice and flush. That one. This one's slightly out, that one. Which then has that one slightly out as well. I think once it's all buttered together, I don't think it's going to matter. Alright, comes on and off pretty easy, so that's fine. I've blown all that out, got out all the little filings and so on, making sure that it's nice and clean. And now it's time for the gasket and put it together and bolt it up. So here's my gasket. This pump comes with a gasket, but it's really weedy. It's half the thickness of one of these gaskets from Superformance. So my advice, I had a couple of these spare, you never know. My advice is use one of these. Don't use the one that comes with the actual pump itself. I just don't think it's viable. It just doesn't feel good enough as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so I'm going to get some gasket goo and come back. Okay, I've gooed up one side and I've put the gasket on, and now I'm just going to go around giving it some goo on this side, trying to get it flowing. Bit of a break there. Okay, I'm just going to go around these areas here. This one. Around the studs a little bit. I'm definitely going to put my finger on this and spread it around as I like to do. Don't have to, it's just my little technique. However, you need a wet finger to do it. So I'm just going to make that bead now, like that. I'm not messing around with this because I don't want it to leak. I want to do it once. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. A lot of that will squeeze out. Now mount the two together. Sure the face is clean, there's nothing there that shouldn't be. Oh, that went together nicely, so that bit of filing, that bit of extra filing's gone really well. Now, just rest it there. A little bag of goodies. I've got some brand new let's hope they fit on. Some brand new Nylox with wave washers. You could use spring washers, but I had some wave washers that fit, so I'm going to use those. I might just use, I won't use a ratchet, I think. So a little bit of pulling there. So like any gasket, share the pulling down. Not that, you know, it's not like you're doing up a head gasket. But still, you might as well do it right. Now, like I was saying, this isn't going to go onto the car straight away. This is going to be well and truly set before I put it on the car. And of course there's only three of those through there, so what I'm thinking of doing is putting these bolts through and then putting some nuts on the end of there just to pull that in, and then when I'm ready I'll take that off, because these four mount into the actual car, mount into the block. So but just so to pull them, I might just put some nuts on the end of there and just to pull that down so it's pulled down on all these anchor points. I'll do that and I'll get back to you. Okay, so I've put those bolts in there, and I've put washers on either end just to protect the facings from the nuts, and I'm just doing up the last one now. Remember, it's a gasket, it doesn't need to be up super tight. Okay, so that's now all pinned all the way around, so I'm going to leave that to dry, give it a bit of a wipe off around here, clean it off, and then leave it to dry, and it should be sweet. Then those bolts, those four bolts, not those ones, not the thread, the studs, the four bolts are going to come out, because that's what's going to attach it to the vehicle, to the engine, and those washers there will be replaced with spring washers. So it's going to be spring washers at the front, but I'll point that out anyway. And of course, when you're attaching this, don't forget your O-ring. And when I put that O-ring in, I'm also going to put some silicone around that area there too, as well as the O-ring. Okay, so the next step will be to fit the pulley. Let's take the tape off. I've got tape on there just protecting the thread. See, what I'll do is, because I'm going to make a mess here with my hands, so I'm going to get rid of all of that, clean up around that edge, and then I'll come back, get that tape off, and we'll go through that. 2 secs. Okay, so I've done a bit of checking on the torques for all this thing. From what I can gather, because it's not very definitive, but what I can gather, these would be around 18 foot-pound. Yeah, 18 foot-pound. Yes, 18 foot-pound. And this one here, I wasn't sure of either, because it says spindle. It doesn't say pulley, I couldn't find water pump pulley, so that's the spindle, I believe. I don't know, unless it's certainly not the impeller. The impeller was the other side. So anyhow, I thought this nut here, you're going to be looking at least, I was thinking just offhand about 40 foot-pound is what I would have talked it to if I wasn't sure. And it's saying 44 foot-pound, so I believe it's around the 40 to 45 foot-pound. Okay, so make sure you've got your key steel. Okay, make sure you got your little Woodruff key in there, nice and square, nice and flat, and then line it up. It should just go on, hopefully. Yeah, and then of course your washer and your nut. And it doesn't really want to wind on because it's a brand new one, so it's going on pretty easy. It's just got to find its new home on the new thread, because that's the original nut, of course. I noticed this when I took it off. The washer won't sit perfectly centric to the nut unless you make it that way, because the washer's a little bit bigger than the shaft that it's going on. So I'm just a little bit OCD, so I want to sort of make that as centric as possible and then tighten it down. I noticed it wasn't when I took it off. It's not going to look. It's not going to mess with the balance or anything like that. It's just yeah. Once again, it's called dressing off. Yeah. It's like having all your hose clamps all facing the same way, unless they need to be facing a different way. So I'm just going to dress that off, and then I'm going to tighten that up and give that a torque to, I'm going to go to between 40 and 45 foot-pound is what I'm going to do. And then basically that's ready to go. There's nothing to do to this because I did this not long ago. Put a new gasket in there. I checked the, I did the old hot water in the glass trick for my thermostat to check if it's working, and it was working fine. And for the price of them, I wasn't just going to replace it for no reason. But yeah, so that's all good. That's all sweet. I know it is. When I did this a little while ago, there was a little bit of a weep there. I looked at the pump and I checked the pump and I thought, the pump's all right. So I didn't really bother too much. I thought, it'll be okay. And then just recently, when I was doing some more work under the front of the engine, doing that front main seal, I gave that a spin, the original one, and it spun around like almost twice. And I thought, that's no good. So you can see, I don't know if you can see that spinning now, but it kind of give it a bit of a tweak, and it turns about that far, about a quarter of a turn. And that's what you're looking for. You can see there's that mark there. You can see that on the camera, but there is a little mark there. So it's at 12 o'clock, and if I go like that, it's gone. That was quite a hard turn, and it's only gone to 6 o'clock. So half a turn just from that. Okay, so I'm going to tighten that up, and then we're good to go. So the next time you'll see this is presenting it to the car. Cheers.